All right, let's start easy. Let's start with just numbers. All right, with numbers, we look here and we have a 7 and a 6. So the common denominator is going to be what? Well, I'm going to have to multiply this by a 6 and this one by a 7. And whatever you do in the numerator or denominator, you have to do in the numerator. And so that's going to be how that one's going to work. So 6 and 7 is common denominator, which is going to be 42. And so to do that, we're going to have to multiply by 6 over 6 and 7 over 7. And that's how we do that. And then 4 times 6 is 24, plus 7 times 1 is going to be 7. And so now we add those two together and we get 31 over 42. Okay. Now that can't be reduced, and so we stop there. Okay. Now for the second one, here we have 3 times 4 and 3 times 5. So it's going to be 3 times 4 times 5, which is going to give us LCD of 60. And so to get that one, we're going to have to multiply what? We're going to have to multiply by 5 over 5 here. And here we're going to have to multiply by 2 over 2. And so that's going to give us 25 minus 22. And that's going to give us what? That's going to be 3 over 60. But guess what? That reduces. So sometimes they're going to reduce, sometimes they're not. And so it gives us 1 over 20 for our answer, because that'll go in here both 3 times. Okay, so that's how we do it with numbers, and we're used to doing that. So now let's move over to actually doing it with other things besides numbers here. So on this one, we have an x and an x squared. So our LCD is going to be x squared. And so what we have to do is we have to multiply this one by x over x. So we're going to get 2x plus 5 over x squared. So it just kind of shows the different steps as we go, and that's going to be our answer, and we can't reduce it at all. Now, what about this one? Well, this one's a good trick. This is 1 minus x. This is x minus 1. What if we took out a negative 1 here and multiplied that? Whoa, oops. We have to write down the right things here, though. What would that be? Well, that would give us a minus 1 times that, because that would be a minus x. That would be plus 1. All we've done is rewritten it basically so it looks more like this. Now, this minus 1 doesn't have to be here. We can take that minus 1 to our numerator and make that a minus 3 over x minus 1. And then guess what? We've got a common denominator. We just have to take 4 minus 3, and then we get basically 1 over the x minus 1. Okay, so sometimes looking at something, you have to be able to see that, hey, those are just kind of opposite signs. If I pull out a negative one, I have the original piece over here, and then I can take that negative one to the numerator, and basically I get 4 minus 3, which is 1. Okay, so that's sometimes what you have to do. All right, well, what about this one? Here we have something a little bit more complicated than just, the same, just different signs, or just multiplying by x. Here we have an x and we have an x plus 7. So here, the common denominator is going to be x times x plus 7. So that means we're going to have to multiply this by x plus 7 over x plus 7. And this one we have to multiply by x over x. And so then we have to distribute here and multiply here. And then that's going to be all over x times x plus 7. So let's show you what we have here. So they've gone ahead and shown you this. Now we're going to distribute and simplify. And now at this point, we have to simplify. So we actually have to distribute. So now you have to remember a FOIL. So we're going to take first times first, first times last, and then we're going to multiply here, and we're going to multiply here. So that's kind of how you FOIL. And then we'll subtract 5x. So x times x is x squared. And then we have 7x minus 3x, which is 4x. And then we have minus 21. So they've kind of taken a step in between here and not shown you what they've done, but they basically taken the outers, multiplied it, the inners, multiplied it, added them together, and we get our 4x. Now we're going to simplify that. 4x minus 5x is going to be a minus x, and so we get this as our answer. Now this, if we could factor it, we would try to factor it, but this one doesn't factor, and so basically we're done at that point. And again, I'm going to leave the denominator in factored form. This can't be factored, and so that kind of shows that we're basically done at that point in time. All right, what about this one? Well, here we have to think about what we can do. So this is x plus 3, x plus 3. This is x plus 3, x minus 3. So now we have two x plus 3's and one x minus 3. So we're going to have to multiply this one by x minus 3 over x minus 3. And this one we have to multiply by x plus 3 over x plus 3. And then we'll have the same denominators, and we just have to distribute here with our numerators. All right, so they kind of show you they factor to the denominator. Now we have to multiply again, x minus 3 over x minus 3 and x plus 3 over x plus 3. Now we'll have a 6x minus 18. Here we'll have a minus 5x minus 15. And so now what we can do is we can simplify and say 6x minus x is x, minus 18 minus 15 is going to be minus 33. We can't factor it, and so that's going to be our final answer. Okay. And again, I'm going to leave the denominator in the factored form. Two reasons. That way I can show I can't cancel. Second, that's going to get to be a x cubed, and it's going to be hard. And then trying to go back and say, okay, now let's factor that. That'll be harder. And so let's leave it in factored form. All right, what if we have something just like 1 over r plus 1 over s? What do we do there? Well, what we have to do is say, well, that's going to have to be multiplied by s over s. And that's going to be multiplied by r over r. And so then we'll have s plus r over rs, or sr, however you want to look at it. So rs, again, is our LCD, and that's what we have here. So again, they're showing what I just did there. And then we have s plus r, and then that's going to be our final answer. And that cannot be simplified, so we would be done at that point in time. Now, reciprocal is rs over s plus r, and that is the last piece here. So we have to remember what a reciprocal is. So, and if you remember, if we took 1 over 4 divided by 2 over 5, we multiply by the reciprocal. Well, that's 1 over 4 times 5 over 2, and that was 5 over 8. Well, all they wanted us to do is take this, take the reciprocal, so we just flip it over, and then that's going to be our answer there. Okay, so that's the last step as far as that goes. This one we can't reduce, so then we can go straight to the reciprocal and we're done. All right, so that's all I have for this section. We'll come back for some more.